It's nice to see the IFSS platform. Patriji made this whole process of meditation so scientific. And the scientific temperament that he introduced, and then he always said it has to be verifiable. There has to be experimentation, and it has to be verifiable. Then it is scientific. Anything that you can verify. And so that scientific temperament that instilled in everyone who came into meditation with PSS movement, and so is Buddha's Quantum Foundation, helps us to explore and see that meditation fits in all dimensions, in all areas of life. And so is meditation for corporates. I met him in the year 99 through my younger brother, Dr. GK. And you said one thing. You said, yes, some kind of balance of family versus work. Today, the first thing he told was, when I met him, that you may be very successful. By then, I was in the United States working for some companies there, which is now IBM, but then I was working for a company called Sequent. Came, and then I met him in India on one other occasion. So he said, you may be successful in the United States, but then you do not know anything about life. So he was a straight shooter always, Patriji. And so then he sort of challenged me at that time, saying that essentially you're saying you don't know how to live life, a proper life. And so that helped me to, even though I was hurt deeply, then from an external perspective, based on my consciousness at that time. But luckily, I had my great support system and my brother and my father, Appaji Garu, who helped and said, you are going to be the loser if you go away because he said something. Instead, you see if there's any meaning behind what he said. And so that helped me to sort of explore, then go away from him. Only to realize that this meditation fundamentally is changing us as a person, even greatly useful at work life. I used to think, and I used to see an environment where the bosses were biased bosses, non-cooperative individuals, because individuals mostly are of a consciousness that's survival oriented. So they try to keep close to your chest anything that is there. And so then you don't find so much cooperation, because the understanding is that if I know something, if I hold it to myself, then I'm more valuable. This is the current understanding. And the biased bosses, and if you are very competent, and then if you notice that you are not necessarily getting, and I was very competent, came from BITS Pilani, and then quite always had great work ethics. But that also came with a lot of expectation that I need to be, since I'm doing always best, performing best, I need to also get the best. That expectation was there, which was never matched by my bosses. Instead, they seemed to be spending time more with someone else who I thought were not performing that great. But this meditation, when I took to it for about 40 days to 2 months, once I was just going through and I'm very stressful. So I did this I said, I got to know about it for 2-3 years, but I really not jumping into it. So let me jump in. And on occasion in the year 2002, when I was into startups by then. And so then when I did this meditation for about 2 months consistently, I did with a lot of reading of the books that Patricia recommended. Many books I was reading during that period. So 3 things happened for me. One, the stress was not there. It just magically disappeared. And the same thing that I used to feel very heavy And so I was looking to go to work. The stress is not there. I was just literally enjoying. The second thing that happened is that my thought process so much changed that my manager was no longer biased for me. It automatically happened. I guess I was looking at a different perspective. And so that expectation dropped. The manager by himself did not change, but it was clear that I changed. And so then that interactions became better. The people there around, because as I became quite positive, I read this book called Conversation with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Scott Beck books I read, Richard Bach books I read. All these books helped me, I guess, change my perspective. And a Harvard study shows that events are neutral. Events happen, but the meaning that we assign to an event makes us either feel good or not good. So it is simply that meaning is always making us feel good or not good. So 90% of the suffering is in the mind, and it is given through the meaning that we assign based on our past. And so that perspective, I recognized on later when I contemplated, has changed for me as I was gaining higher wisdom, as meditation was helping to assimilate a lot of that wisdom, and saying that it is okay. Others are also have going through a similar challenge that you may be going. There may be a big picture for the manager, and so then he is or she is doing what they're doing. Your perspective is different. So many of those aspects have helped me to think different, I suppose. And so then the people who are cooperating with me, my manager no longer biased, and I was no longer feeling stress. So it was helping me pretty easily after those 2 months of practice. Then I continued further, and then of course we hear healing happens. And so then there's always some health benefit for everyone that our body is recovering, rejuvenating, because meditation is going us into a deeper beneficial wave states of the brain and the body. And so that happened to me too. That I used to have a condition which was not allowing me to do air travel, rather allowing me, but it would be very, very painful for me because of the way that would cause an ear blockage, pain. And if I left for 24 hours, then it become infection. And so my ears would get blocked and not get unblocked. Common for getting blocked, but not that common for getting them unblocked. They won't get unblocked. So it was bothering me. I was discouraging myself to do travels, and which means that sometimes it affects your career. In my case, I needed to be in front of clients and I needed to be traveling back and forth, which was not happening. Or rather, I was discouraging myself. And so then I didn't like it. And so didn't have a solution. It was not like, okay, threatening of anything, but it was definitely not something that I was enjoying. As in every time an opportunity, client business opportunity, I couldn't with enthusiasm travel. And so that in these 4 months, it also that resolved for me automatically, something that I was struggling with for about 5, 6 years, with experts in the United States everywhere telling me that this is a lifelong situation. But then it resolved automatically 4 months later when I was just simply meditating, and one fine day I was doing travel back again from one of those occasions from Bangalore to US. I didn't realize that it was no longer there for me. So that's when the liberation came. That's when I decided. I used to hear from hallways of PSSM that pretty much three things. Your body heals so you can heal. That constantly no medicine, no doctor was being heard. To me, it meant more liberation. It's not so much meant that literally don't take them fine. So it's not about proving an heroic, but it meant liberation, meant free. Person like me, when I was traveling to various countries all the time to different places, not having to worry about doctors, not having to worry about the medication available or not available was great. When venturing into nature, remote areas, it is great to feel that something may happen in the nature and you don't have medication. So when this healing happened, when I used to hear this body heals, your thoughts create reality, be a light unto yourself. Three things were constantly there as three statements that I took to explore. Thoughts create reality was the toughest to accept because then you're accepting everything that is there happening and not happening for you at workplace, then you have to accept, which is not, it was difficult, but I started experimenting. And then first one was this health. So what happened is I guess my thought process changed and my health improved suddenly. That condition disappeared. Something was told is not going to get resolved forever, lifelong. I was asked to take some inhalers and stuff. Every time I would do any travel. But so then that freedom came, and I decided that medication is not necessary for me because if this could heal, everything can heal. And then subsequently, a chronic recurring backache, which used to really bother me, also dissolved by itself over a period of time. Nothing happened overnight. Everything took some time, but things were happening one by one. Now, for an executive, you know it that health is so important. One of the core things, then if you see successful people, many successful leaders, one of the core success factors for them, they say, is the health regime or fitness regime. They all talk about it, that now they all have always something to do with the fitness. Now, they may not be doing meditation necessarily, but they're always doing something. They're keeping themselves fit. If you're not healthy, and it is always impacting your objectives at work, whether your projects, your the ability to lead in this and that. And so this was important, which I did not realize, but it's already happening in health. So subsequently, after coming into meditation, I don't even recall if I ever called sick. It is that powerful that you are always healthy. And then in case, even if you're not that great, then your body will just heal, you take rest, you have a different perspective, and then you're able to come out pretty quickly. So with that, then with that understanding, with that health gained, then I felt it is powerful that I must give this immediately, associate myself. And then the calling, an opportunity came from then this is in 2003. Paul Vizikumar came and said, Patrizi, we wanted you to join Pyramid Valley project we were establishing. So I took to that opportunity. I felt, and these things were really clear that if you want to be succeeding in any domain, then you want to be surrounded with yourself with those experts. And so I felt this is a great way. And I saw my younger brother, Dr. GK, doing already so much of meditation service and always constantly being with, meeting Patriji or Paul or, some of the Anjaneya Sharma, the other masters that time. So I said, okay, let me also join. So I joined like that to Pyramid Valley project. But then pretty quickly, it was useful that I could give my expertise, corporate expertise there in planning and then sort of establishing, raising funding, taking it up systematically, a big mega project for PSSM then, first time we're building infrastructure of that scale. And so we were enjoying and then we're growing it up. And then soon, within 10 years after, I recognized and realized somewhere in 2015 that I was actually living my purpose. What I joined as simply that I will gain, but turned out to be that I'm actually living one of my core purpose is to help establish these meditation centers that spread meditation significantly through Pyramid Valley International. It's very proud to feeling to be saying that today we are taught meditation at Pyramid Valley International alone for more than 3 million people since the time it was since inception. And this whole Valley Pyramid Valley International, the way it came up, taught again another great principle that it is not necessary to have money. It's not necessary to start with money or resource. It is important to start with an intention and thought. That's what Patrizi mentioned in the beginning. In the year 2003, and I functioned 3 months after we started, registered the Valley body. We were doing a small function in a 4-acre land. And when I was asking him that, sir, this project takes about 15 crores or $4 million in US roughly. that time. And then we have nothing here in the bank. So how do you expect? And it was that way too. Then, and in Bangalore, there's hardly, dozen meditators, serious meditators. Then he said, Chandra, my projects start with intention. They don't start with money. My projects are always growing based on how passionately people are taking them forward, how much you can involve yourself into. This is how I've been growing. PSS Moment is growing. Now I see this brochure. This is good. A good version is made here. You documented your vision. Now, how passionate you are about it, how much you can carry this message forward. Now, you are 10 of the trustees, that time were 10 trustees. You're 10 of you. Can all of you talk about this consistently? Can all of you spread this message? If we can dream about this strongly, then it will come. This is what he told. Money is incidental. I used to use the word money is incidental. It is required, but it's not the only thing or the first thing. So it so happened that subsequently, then we kept talking about this, and then we went and then went and went without necessarily having any big corporate funding, without necessarily having any amount of huge capital by anyone then, because in the year 2003, even Sri Shreyans Dagaji was not there yet in the beginning. He only came into the picture about 12 months after. By then, we had most of the land acquired, and then the pyramid work hasn't started, but some things are there. So the project took off on intention, and then it grew for a period of time as you kept your thought on it, it was sustained. The good thing that happened was that Pyramid Valley had this great board. Rajanji, grateful to you. So Rajanji has always been there in the board that I see here. And then the people were very coherent. We were coherent no matter we had differences, but we were able to bring together. That brings up the other point, the coherency, that meditation brings alignment among individuals to the great extent. And so then it helped us to sustain and stay focused, even, and of course, when things go right, of course, we go right, we do it easily. But when things don't go right, and it did happen several times to this project where many things are not going right. There are a period of 2 years where we didn't have any funding. We had not necessarily great alignment among the board due to some of the decisions in making about pyramids, the beautiful structure that you see today. And so the pyramid was not moving at all for years. And those are periods where we have to really, really persevere and then be there, just hang in there. And Patriji would tell, just continue. And then what's the hurry? Something will happen, something will come forward, and then we can again go forward. And so then it's how it happened. It had to wait for some time, but then again, the work resumed, and then we were able to beautifully make this available in the year 2008 for an international event. The point, dear friends, is that this whole episode taught that if you have great intentions, and then if you can dream, then the projects will come on live. You can dream, and then you can stay persistent on it, not abandon, not give up too soon, too quick. And so the manifestation principles came really alive for me as I was observing in this entire Pyramid Valley International Projects itself. And it's something that happens all the time in corporate. So while I was continuing at Pyramid Valley International, doing many things there, building facility after facility, doing events after events, contributing to it, I was able to definitely take adequate time while I was running my business. I was able to do adequate time for service. It is again just a thought switch and a mind switch. If you think that you are busy execute, you can't do, then you can't do. Henry Ford, if you think you can do, you're right. If you think you can't do, you're still right. And so it was clear that thought create reality was deeply imbibed into me and said, okay, why not? Why not that I can still give adequate time? So I remember that now continue to perform my job as CEO while I also was able to give another that many hours, at least 40, 50 hours for service every week continuously for Pyramid Valley Project too. And so it is possible that if you decide in your mind that I can do many things, then you can. Because I saw Patrizi at any given time running like hundreds of projects. Why not? I mean, he was so close to every individual. Everyone had a project, and then everyone is performing greatly. Dhyananda Pradesh Magazine, Karnataka, PSSM, there is another pyramid project in Hyderabad. Everywhere, many projects were there. There is spiritual tablet with Dr. GK, whatnot. And so then it was clear that he was a true example to say that you had unlimited potential. So I was able to give adequate time for my service, meditation service, while performing equally without necessarily neglecting any part of the business. And so both were going great. And so along the way, then your purpose time to time changes. The same thing you enjoy today, you may not enjoy later, but then your purpose changes. And the calling was there that I needed to really press accelerator for my business. So I came out of the managing trustee, went into growing my business, and then there my objectives were to get a great acquisition and then go into corporate meditation, introduce meditation to the corporates extensively. With a corporate background, I always used to feel that my purpose somewhere is there into this side. Purpose of life now, Dr. Deepak Chopra, and then many, Deepak Chopra is, I like this. Purpose of life is to apply your unique talent in service of others, apply unique talent in service of others. The service of others comes up consistently, whether you read the purpose, their understanding of whether Dalai Lama, Mahatma Gandhi, it comes up consistently that it's in service of others. The Deepak Chopra are talking about using your unique talent. We find out what's unique. Patrick is told in different ways that entertainment, enlightenment for enjoyment. He was talking, addressing body, mind, soul, and then saying, you do this. But he always said, do what is right for you. And then he said, if you knew something unique, special, like meditation, then you would teach that. You wouldn't go in and teach English still because you knew English too. So he was indirectly telling you apply your unique talent, whatever that is. And so to me, it was very clear that I must take meditation that healed me, that was giving me a great time at companies, and this whole process, the thought process, the perseverance, all of that habits are built in, qualities are built in, which subsequently helped me in my company acquisition. I wanted to introduce meditation to the corporates, but I was looking for a stronger scientific understanding, and so then came in contact with the teachings of Dr. Joe, Dr. Amit Goswami, Fred Alan Wolf, and Brett Greg Braden, all of these folks, and then Bruce Lipton. They all were talking so much scientific language. In fact, Patrizi introduced me this book called You Are the Placebo in the year 2014. He said, Chandra, read this book. There is also a website, EOC Institute, Exploration of Consciousness Institute.org. And if you read that website, there is so much of scientific evidence of how meditation helps in many aspects of physical, emotional, mental wellness, well-being, and all of them scientifically with the research quoted. So when I studied those, I felt like there is so much of empowerment that is there that we can introduce in corporates. While meditation is a common phenomenon at my workplace, but then I wanted something systematic and scientific to bring it into the corporate. Parallelly, my company got acquired by IBM. Through these principles that I've read, imbibed the whole manifestation principles, one of the big thing in there was reprogramming limiting beliefs. That in spite of being in meditation for years and years, I recognized after going through the other placebo book, even though I went through multiple workshops of money and spirituality kind of stuff through Dr. Newton by then, and then of course there was the red books of Seth, and all of them were there. But this somewhere I recognized I formed limiting beliefs about my business, which was already there for multiple years of existence. That it is difficult to grow the business in United States market. If you're an India company, it's difficult to sort of get acquisition because I was getting some rejections, or at least people are saying, come back later, come back later. So I didn't realize I'd formed several limiting beliefs. So even though you carry yourself in meditation regularly, but the limiting beliefs get formed. They get formed at the drop of a hat. because they're there in the environment. Constantly, environment is telling you something, and so you're so busy doing what you're doing, and so many a times you're forming limiting beliefs. Is what happened to me. So with meditation, when I read this book again, those things came back up as concepts. So applying various principles of being openness, visualization, limiting beliefs, removing limiting beliefs, I was able to greatly move a company towards an acquisition in a beautiful way. And so that happened. So then I give a lot of credit of acquisition for a company, irrespective of having a lot of baggage, if you will. And a software company, if it existed for 13 years, it had a baggage of some kind. Normally, you would want to see that it grows from in 0 to 7 years. Ideally, it should grow and get acquired. But it didn't happen for us. But still, we were able to get acquired, which means even though you had adversities or challenges, you're still able to navigate towards a great outcome, is something that I take from there. And then I give a lot of credit to meditation. And so with all of this, and then the purpose became clear. Patrice said somewhere in the 2015, Chandra, let's do Buddha CEO. And then we started a conference. Buddha CEO, he said that time Buddha left the palace, but now we don't leave the palace, we are right here. And one meaning he gave was, yes, then Buddha come back as a CEO and then do things here, right? That's what it meant. You become, understand yourself, but now operate not as a pure material CEO, but as a spiritual CEO, as Buddha. So be a Buddha inside, CEO outside, meaning very successful at whatever you do. CEO symbolic of highest level in material success, material living great life, and then Buddha spiritual living great life. That's what another meaning of Buddha CEO is. And so we said, let's do a conference of leaders, bring somebody. And then we did a small conference, over 20, 25 people in Pyramid Valley in 2015. Then in 2016, a couple of small conferences. Then for something happened, we didn't continue forward. I was also quite busy at my work in that time because I had to really give a lot of time for IBM after acquisition. But then something beautiful happened. So then with the Buddha Seva inspiration, with all the scientific evidences through these modern spiritualists called Dr. Joe and then Amit and all of them, I was able to have enough ammunition to take this into the IBM as we introduced into the corporate level, introduced leadership, many things. In fact, that's one of my goals as going into IBM. Even during negotiation, I made this as a negotiation point. If you allow me to stay and teach meditation, then I'll stay in IBM for longer because they always want you to stay longer as an acquiring CEO. They want you to stay for long, but my intention was to come out as quickly. But then, so I'd asked for allowing me to take meditation into IBM, and so it was a good thing that IBM was encouraging. So me, with then my manager, general manager, Lawrence Gohar Jolly, who is a co-founder of Buddhasi Foundation, were able to introduce this meditation in the corporate IBM significantly. And many, many leaders were always telling, hey, this is giving me, of course, stress relief. This is helping me take clear decisions. And third thing that they were consistently got from their leadership was that this was helping us behave better. Challenges come, somebody will come and tell you that, no, I just don't like this in front of you. And on a performance appraisal, always it happens. You're doing a performance appraisal, your best architect, but doesn't like what they're taking. And so they tell you something on the face, and how do you react? And this is where meditation helps to emotionally be very regulated. And so that you give a response and something cool. You know the essence of what they're saying, not the words they're saying. And so you're able to step back and then listen to it and then give a different response. And so these three things were big benefits for that we were hearing leadership, that now we're better emotion regulated, we have more clarity of our decision making, and then there's no stress. And so then we kept growing. At some point, the same thing I was doing was not enjoyable enough. And then I spoke to Patrici, said, find time to resign. So I came out and started Buddhasya Quantum Foundation. In spreading this work now, promoting this into leadership and corporate significantly. We we are essentially taking a scientific voice. So we'll listen to some of it post meditation, and we can do some meditation now, and then I'll present a few slides of Sharmaji asked present peak performance, resilience and peak performance, meditation for resilience and peak performance. I guess many are already probably using it, but what I show could help in utilizing some of these understanding in the way you all can take it too. If you're already, I'm sure many are doing it to the corporates in some way or the other, but this framework that we put together can aid to the structure that you are taking forward when we listen to that post meditation, right? And also, with the CEO, ever since we came in, we started carrying a lot of research. We kept doing assessment, and the day 1, day 21, day 40, different periods of points of a meditator's life. And so these assessments, we put them together, researched around what data comes out. And then many things came out consistently, matching, and then much better in terms of what we notice, what people are telling us, in terms of the improvement they're seeing that is applying to the work life directly. We called it organizational excellence. So we'll also talk and look at some of that post meditation, right? So I must say that meditation is a greatly changed my life and changed significantly add value to our business, Senova Technologies, and subsequently the companies that I worked at IBM, and then now to many, many companies where we are introducing this meditation. We've done in Cognizant and in Microsoft, and then of course IBM. Many companies that we do introduce in a strategy workshop about how business can grow. We of course do introductions. We do 3-week program or 6-week program for them to make it a habit. And so many things that we're doing in a scientific fashion. Outside the companies, or inside, of course, the companies, and all of that in many ways. And so grateful to Patriji for making and then helping me evolve what I am, and then introducing that scientific mindset, and then allowing to decide what is right as an individual, allowing me to automatically navigate myself to find the purpose. And IFSS is a wonderful institute. I remember in the 2009 or 10, and Rajanji and we were all there at a meeting. Sir said, we must start this to bring and then take this not just as only PSSM, but also with several other organizations together, is how it started, and then kept doing so many national conferences, and then the GCSs, global conference we're doing together with IFSS. So happy to see that this is getting revived significantly, and then much work is getting done. Many thanks to Rajanji, Sampath, Sharmaji, and several others that you are there in this banner.